Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
All together. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottama Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Nasta Prayeshu Bhagaveshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Tamashote Bhakti Bhavati Naishiki. For his head and Srimad Bhagavatam, the journey into the Congress, what are respected bases all the instructions of anybody having some troublesome in their heart? No? Well, this removes that stuff from the heart. It's very nice. Verses are three.
My dear Vidura, great sage Kapila, the personality of Godhead, left his father's hermitage with the permission of his mother and went towards the northeast.
While he was passing in the northern direction, all the celestial denizens, known as Karanas and Gandharvas, as well as the Munis and the damsels of the heavenly planets, prayed and offered him all respects. The ocean offered him oblations and a place of residence.
Even now, Kapila Muni is staying there in trance for the deliverance of the conditioned souls in the 3 worlds, and all the acharyas or great teachers of the system of Sankhya philosophy are worshipping him.
My dear son, since you have inquired for me, I have answered. O Sumless One, the descriptions of Kapila Deva and his mother and other activities are the purest of all pure discourse.
The description of the dealings of Kapila Dev and his mother is very confidential, and anyone who hears or reads this narration becomes a devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is carried by Garuda, and he thereafter enters into the abode of the Supreme Lord to engage in the transcendental loving service of the Lord.
The last one. The extra verse for today is 3:33:30. So we go back. Hamsa kapilotena Argena chirata param Atmanam Brahma Nirvanam Bhagavantam Avapaha.
Evam sa kapilotena
Atmanam Brahma Nirvanam Bhagavantam Avapaha.
Evam sa kapilotena Margena chirataparam Atmanam Brahma Nirvana Bhagavatam Kapila Evam Sakapilokena
Evam Sakapilokena
Arjun Chitrata Param
Arjuna Chirataparam
Amana Brahma
Nirvana
Bhagavatam Avapaha
One more person.
Evam Sakapilokena
Evam Sakapilokena Arjuna Chirataparam Nirvana Bhagavatam the word for what again? Evam Gas Sakshi Devahuti Kapila by Kapila Uttayana instructed Ravina by the power Achirata soon Super soul Brahma one Nirvana cessation of material existence Bhagavatam supreme personality of Godhead Avapa she achieved certainly. Anybody want to read the purport? By following the principles instructed by Kapila, Devahuti soon became liberated from the bondage of achieving personality of Godhead as his soul without difficulty. Anybody want to?
Three words have been used in this connection to describe the achievement of Devahuti: Atmanam, Brahmanirvanam, and Bhagavantam. These refer to the gradual process of discovery of the absolute truth, mentioned herein as the Bhagavantam. The Supreme Personality of Godhead resides in various Vaikuntha planets. Nirvana means to extinguish the pangs of material existence. When one is able to enter into the spiritual kingdom or into spiritual realization, one is automatically freed from material pangs. This is called Brahma Nirvana. According to Vedic scripture, Nirvana means cessation of the materialistic way of life. Atmanam means realization of the supersoul within the heart. Ultimately, the highest perfection is realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is to be understood that Devahuti entered the planet which is called Kapila Vaikuntha. There are innumerable Vaikuntha planets, predominated by the expansions of Vishnu. All the Vaikuntha planets are known by a particular name of Vishnu. As we understand from Brahma Samhita, Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Ananta Rupam. Ananta means innumerable. The Lord has innumerable expansions of his transcendental form, and according to the different positions of the symbolical representations in his four hands, he is known as Narayan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, Vasudeva, etc. There is also a Vaikuntha planet known as Kapila Vaikuntha, to which Devahuti was promoted to meet Kapila and reside there eternally, enjoying the company of her transcendental son.
Thank you all for coming to the Bhagavatam class. So this is basically the end of the third canto, and we've read about Devahuti's journey to Godhead, back to Godhead. The name of the class is Back to Godhead. So she had a very interesting journey with her husband, Karna Muni, and she, it wasn't easy for her because they went, they had the whole celestial airplane and all that fun, and then now she has a son, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kapila, and she's now gone back to Godhead, which is basically, I was thinking of, about the class. This is our journey also, how to relate the journey of Devahuti to our journey. And so there's in the translation here, I was thinking to separate the class into three parts. The first part is the principles. So you see the translation, my dear Vidura, by following the principles instructed by Kapila. So we also have principles. And then she became liberated from material bondage. So we become liberated from material bondage. And then she achieved Krishna. And so we achieved Krishna. And so for the first part, I was thinking about the principles that she followed. What are the principles she followed? She followed meditation, right? She followed focus on Krishna. She followed renunciation, like Nishta discussed. She followed a spiritual master. She had two spiritual masters, really, her son and Kargamuni. She was austere, and so many other principles she followed on her spiritual life, right? And we have our spiritual lives also, right? And so what are some principles, just you can just shout them out, some principles that we follow that help us keep, on the journey back together? Celibacy, okay. Cleanliness of the mind and the body. No gambling. Why? Be honest, truthfulness. Let's go truthfulness. Anything else? Humility. You have qualities. Anything else? What about activities? Service. What kind of service? Dishes. Devotional service. Cleaning of the heart. Anything else? Activities, principles. Having mercy. Asking for mercy. Right. Okay. Showing compassion. Sadam. Okay, that we all do every day. Anything in the back? Principles? Can you follow? Spaced out. 4x, Carmen saying? Yes. So, so there's many principles we also follow, and these are help, these are keep us on the tracks, come back together. And then the second part is Devahuti became liberated from material bondage. We all feel like this body is bondage.
Yeah.
We do?
Yeah.
We all can relate?
Yeah, it hurts all the time. These are all feel like moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
20, right? I know. I know the pain. Yeah, actually, if you're really introspective about the body, it's got a lot of problems. And especially the older you get. I remember when I moved to America, I was 12 from Ukraine. And, I didn't have much problems. I did, but I didn't notice. I went to the hospital and things, but, as a kid, it doesn't really register that this body is a problem because you're using it, you're having fun. And, it's just light. And then as you get older, I remember as I was getting older, I got an injury playing soccer. And that's when it first hit me. And this injury was, as everybody here has experienced some kind of injury, right? And there's some injuries that, okay, maybe I sprained my back or something, and it's like maybe 2 or 3 days, you get some soreness. Just like over this weekend, we went to the Springs, and I did some wrestling with Kartikeya, and I didn't realize it, but the next day I was like, So, but then now I don't feel it. It's been 2 days. So it's like, okay, there's some injuries that are like weeks, months. And so this injury was months. No, it was actually 2 or 3 years. And I was about 18. And that's when I first started to experience, like, dang, this body sucks. This pain that I have to experience every day, right? And so, but it doesn't click. It clicks, the body sucks, but you're stuck with it. It's like then we try to fix it. We go to the chiropractor, we go to whatever, we go to trying to find some fixing. And sometimes it helps, and sometimes it doesn't. And for me, I struggled with this for like 3-4 years. And actually, throughout my whole spiritual journey now, for 5 years, I developed a certain disease in my stomach. And I haven't been able to properly eat and digest. And that has really transformed my whole experience of the body. I am, blessing in disguise. We call suffering, right? A blessing in disguise. And Krishna has given me specific medicine to curb my propensity to enjoy. And when you can't enjoy, you have to look for it somewhere else, which is, ultimately because you're practicing devotional service, have to focus on Krishna. And that's the beauty about bodily suffering. And I think as we all get older, especially, you meet, we have senior devotees, and we all have spoken with Kalakanta Prabhu. He says, the body, they'll give us some wisdom that don't be attached to this body, because even though, maybe now some of you fit, no problem, but it will go downhill. But what goes uphill? Uphill is our faith, our devotion, our spirit, right? So this body is bondage. And the beauty about bhakti, that ultimately we are liberated from this body. And it's possible by even being in this body. Because, like Jonathan was saying yesterday, sometimes you get so absorbed, you just forget. You just forget. And that's, that's the Brahma Bhuta Prasadma. That's the stage where you're in transcendental consciousness. And it's quite amazing. It's quite amazing. So I spoke about the principles we follow, right? We've also, we have a spiritual master, we take instructions, and then the liberation from this body, and then back to Godhead. So now I want to talk, this is the primary topic of the class, back to Godhead. I like this topic a lot because I think when I was introduced to Krishna consciousness, this idea of, because, for some of us, we realize that this world is suffering. Some of us, we don't. Sometimes it's just a little bit. But I had this feeling, like this sucks. There's a rat race, we call it. Just, it's not so fun. And there's another kind of world where everything is, such Ananda, every step is a dance, every word is a song, right? So it's very fun in the spiritual world, and as much as we learn about, like right now I'm reading the 10th canto, and I've read the Krishna book, but reading the 10th canto is also very sweet, because everything's in detail about Krishna. And when you read about Krishna, I just read the pastime topic called Wonderful Krishna, and when you read about Krishna, and you hear about him, his sweetness. Right now, I'm in the part where he chastised Indra, and Indra, everybody knows about the Govardhan pastime, right? There was a bunch of thunder. He tried to kill all the residents, and at the end, he's now praying to Krishna, and he says, "You're so great. Please forgive me. I surrender. You smashed my pride." And then the first statement from Krishna, I just finished this last night. He says, "The whole purpose of this pastime, I created this whole thing, this crazy whole thing, so I can smash your pride." Basically, that's what he's saying. I can smash, because why? I care for you. And it touched my heart a lot. I was thinking, a friend, a real friend, isn't just someone who always tells us nice things, right? A real friend is someone who will smash our pride, or will do what's good for us, even though we might not feel good, right? And we all have had friends like that, I hope, right? They're not just there for the good times, but they're there for us, really, on this spiritual journey. And so, and somehow that touched me a lot, because that shows the character of Krishna. Who are we worshiping, right? Are we worshiping some person that doesn't care, that's just, egoistical? Because some people say Krishna is egoistical, right? He's rasa dance and so many things. But you see, because they don't understand, obviously, but when you really see this beautiful side of Krishna, I mean, all of his sides are beautiful, but there's specific qualities that attract us individually, right? And for me, there's one of these qualities, this caring, compassion, and love for his devotees. It's called Bhakta Vatsala. Bhakta Vatsala means direct affection. Bhakta means devotee, and Vatsala means affection, right? So he's affectionate for his devotees. And you can see, he had no business. Indra's there, doing his thing. But he went out of his way to make sure Indra's pride is checked. And so we're all on the journey back to Godhead. And guess what? Whatever anartha you have is going to get checked. And it will be sometimes in a loving way, and sometimes it's going to be very triggering. Sometimes you're going to have to go, Krishna! Has anybody ever done that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the car.
In the car? Like why? Because it doesn't feel good to go through purification. It usually does not feel good. But just as, if you're experiencing some toothache, you go to the doctor, you had a toothache. We were in Vrindavan together, and it was terrible. It's like you're in Vrindavan, you're in the most holy place, and you're experiencing a toothache, and you can't, chant, you can't eat prasad, you're just struggling. And so then you have to go to the doctor usually, and you have to experience some pain, right? Some pain. They'll either drill or do something to your tooth, but then you'll feel better. Like wisdom teeth. Okay, I think a lot of us have had wisdom teeth taken out. So I heard this. I haven't. I hope not. But I know from everybody who's gone through it, it's a ton of pain. You understand? You're not alone. All four. Can't even imagine the pain. But it does not feel good. But afterwards, feel better. And so that is the trick. When you're going through the suffering, through the pain of whatever anartha you have, because ultimately we all have stuff, right? You can't get away from our stuff. But we're here and we're practicing bhakti. So what's going to happen? You can't say, I'm not going to experience stuff coming up. You can't. It's going to happen. You're going to rub shoulders against somebody, or, management's going to say something to you and you're like, I don't want to do this, but I have to do this, but I'm not in a good mood. Can I not? But then, all these things go up. I've been here for 5 years. Yeah, it happens. But obviously we have to keep going because we know that ultimately it's for our good, right? That we will come out from this point of whatever purification we're going through as a better person, as a more cleaner person, right? And it actually works like this. It actually does. I don't have much to speak from my experience because it's only been 5 years of practicing bhakti. But the times I've had struggling with whatever purification, sometimes lasts for months, sometimes it's like a whole semester, a year. That you're like, when is this going to be over? The mind, whatever. But it works. It works. And Krishna, sometimes we think we have our own time frame. We want this to be over in like a week or a day. Just like, why? Why can't this be over? But Krishna has his own time. And sometimes we have to experience it for a longer period because it churns the heart in different ways. If it's all done quick, then we might not learn the lesson that we have to. Sometimes it's a long period of time because through that, a lot of stuff happens. And so, why did I bring this up? Because, this is something we all experience in the journey back to Godhead. And I looked up how many times has Srila Prabhupada said back to Godhead on Veda base. Can anyone guess? Just random guesses. Go ahead. 2,000. Okay, way up. Go up.
800.
No, you're not like
639.
okay, 8,000, even higher. Go into yeah. At least in the Veda base, back to Godhead is mentioned. Total of 163,600. Yeah.
What?
The total amount of like books, conversations is, this is the number I looked up back to Godhead, 163,000. Back, huh? This is what it says exactly, but this is taking into account, books, talking with disciples. Yes, sir.
In the dictionary, I looked it up. It must be an Old English or something. It means divine essence. It's something like especially pertaining to God in three persons. It's actually a Christian term. So it's interesting Prabhupada picked a Christian term to use so much in his magazine answer and everything. It was brought up in India under British rule for, I guess, 400 years or 200 years or something like that.
So Prabhupada, divine essence. Yeah, he could have said God. He said Godhead. Head means there's a head. There's a person.
Yeah, Prabhupada said
Head God. Yeah, so because God has a head, is a person. That's just, because some people refer to God as divine essence, but head means there's a person. And so when I looked this up, that's, a lot of times back to Godhead. And actually, how many of us listen to Srila Prabhupada's lectures? Yeah, sometimes. Good, yeah. It's good to hear him speak because he's, pure transcendental vibration. It enters the ear and it can, sometimes it gives release, liberation, chastisement, whatever, but it pierces the heart. And so actually a lot of his lectures end with, please chant, dance, and go back to Godhead. Like so many of his lectures end, go back to Godhead. That means we should try to go back to Godhead, right? That's why we're here. And so I was thinking how there's a, you have the picture? There's this picture I found of our journey back to Godhead. So there's one road, but there's many roads, and you're like, and sometimes you think they're all together, like a hallucination, or then there's so many, you're like, what do I do? Right now, it's luckily they're all in the ashram, but even in the ashram, there's different services, there's the mind, like, what do I do? And so detours, red signal, green signal, yeah, and sometimes it's combustion, and sometimes it's very clear. A combustion of science. And so, it can be difficult, the journey back to Godhead. It's meant to be simple and easy, and sometimes it is. Sometimes it's not. And, you need to know, I was thinking two things. You need to know that going back to Godhead is an option, and how to get there, right? And so luckily we have, all the acharyas, Prabhupada has taught us how to do this whole thing, right? We came here and now we're practicing, we're chanting, waking up early, all wonderful things. But there's all these other miscellaneous or different parts of our own existence that we have to navigate, right? Because we're individuals, and so whether it's desire for different service of so many things happen in the ashram, and we need to navigate all these things on the journey back to Godhead. And so ultimately, there's one road, right? There's one road back to Godhead. There's many. Sometimes you have to take a detour like this. It's not a straight way, right? It's not a straight way. And we have to be pliable. It's very important to be pliable and be surrendered. I was thinking, If you're not surrendered, the harder it's gonna be on this path. You know, if the less surrender you have, what I mean by surrender? If you don't leave a Krishna factor, if you think, okay, I'm the controller, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna, get this service, and I'm gonna go there, and I'm gonna do this, you're gonna have a harder time, because that means you're trying to lord it over and think that you know the best. And I've spoken to some devotees like this. It doesn't go well, because obviously we're not the controller. So if you think your way is gonna meet, oftentimes it crashes against something. But if you are in this mood of Krishna, whatever you have willed for me, I will accept it. It's a difficult statement, actually. Some of us really struggle with that. This, because do we trust Krishna? Do we all really trust Krishna that he has the best um, of our hearts? It's a good question to ask sometimes, right? I mean, how much do we trust Krishna? And that usually has to do with the correlation. How much are we trying to control our lives, right? Because if you completely trust, then yeah, we can endeavor. It's okay. We can do, but we will. The other way is to, leave this space, meaning you don't act hastily, too fast. You progress, and I'll speak from my own life existence. Like right now, I'm gonna be going to. This is my last semester at Krishna House, and I'll be going to Austin to start a Krishna House there. And did I ever think I was gonna do this? No, no. Yeah, hello. So I didn't think, Nishka, going to Baltimore. Did you ever think? No, right? Some things we just don't think it's ever gonna happen like this, because we have our own idea of what we want. But as you go in your time in ashram, you start to get this mood of, what does Krishna want? What does Guru want? Because on the spiritual path you take root. So it's like, what does Srila Prabhupada want, right? And when you come from this angle of perspective on spiritual life, then things start to synchronize. People call it serendipity, or this connection. We call it synchronicity, or this aspect of when you meet somebody and then I guess it's synchronicity, but okay. So if I say both of these words, where your desire is in complete alignment with Krishna's desire, and things just work out so nicely, because why? You're not trying to control or go over. You're letting Krishna guide you, and you're pliable, meaning whatever you desire. And that is a very high stage, but also it's not. Meaning we are in the ashram, we're here trying to become surrender, right? Because I was thinking, sometimes we forget why we're here. We forget why we're here. Every day chanting, coming to morning program. After sometimes you can become complacent. And I was thinking, gratitude is so important, because we read these affirmations every morning, right? We read them every morning. Why? Repetition is how you learn. Okay. Anything else? Impression. Yeah. It also it's a reminder. It's a reminder why we're here, right? If we're reading, I chant because I try to repair my broken relationship with God and Krishna. Sometimes you forget that we have a broken relationship with Krishna, right? And when we read, I broke my relationship, and I have to do something to repair it. And then you get inspiration to keep going, to remind you, this is why I'm chanting, And so every day we repeat things, but sometimes we do it on automatic, right? And it's okay. Sometimes, I've done it. But when we actually to be conscious, then it can reignite the fire. Because the point is, in the ashram, you have to keep your fire lit. Otherwise, if you're lacking enthusiasm, then your mind wanders, oh, maybe I should go out there. This looks attractive. Oh, and then they also, we all have impressions from our past. Remember when I used to do this? Oh, yeah. Let's go there, Why not? I'm not finding fun in the ashram, right? And so that's why it's very important to have some kind of affirmations, or every day we do this, and so it's a reminder. And also, I was thinking, on the path back to Godhead, there's certain signs, right? There's certain signs that we're making progress, that we're going the right way. And then just you can shout out, what are some signs that just comes to your mind instantly of that you're on the right path? The guru's pleased. It's very important, if you ask, or it's a sense of, it's also a feeling, and then you can also, your Prabhupada, you can directly speak with them. But, if you read the Srimad Bhagavatam, or sometimes you hear from certain devotees, and it's like aligned. You feel like Srila Prabhupada is pleased. Okay?
So your close friends and family, they're telling you that you're doing well. They can kind of see it from an outside perspective.
Yeah, sometimes it's like you're a different person, and you're emanating this beautiful energy, and they can see you are properly situated. Yeah. That's a big one. It's a big one. How so? Yeah, it's amazing actually, this aspect of open communication, or controlling the mind, or the urge to speech. Before, sometimes I was never like an angry person, but when you get angry, you want to lash out, or something doesn't go your way, you kind of want to just take it out. But as being a devotee, you're able to start to step back from your mind and from wherever the feeling is. It's actually quite revolutionary, because before, it's like I'm in my mind, and whatever my mind tells me, whatever emotion that is, whether it's depression, whether it's whatever feeling, I'm just gonna succumb to it. And then if there's a person that I'm dealing with, there's a relationship, then I'm gonna lash out at that person, right? I mean, that happens in, like, you can study this in school, open communication, but the experience of it, we go through this every day with different devotees. And so you gain this beautiful talent quality that many people don't have, is how to, actually have good relationships. Because ultimately, if you do this stuff, if you lash out, then you won't be able to maintain a good relationship. Because then somebody's going to get hurt, right? And then when they're hurt, that relationship goes bad. And so if we learn how to control our mind and speech, then we can have nice relationships. It's beautiful. True freedom, yeah. And then you think, if I say everything, I am free. But really, you're a slave to your mind, because your mind saying, say this, I'll say this, But real freedom of speech is, yeah, you're saying controlling. Any other, and why is this important on the journey back to God? Because offenses, right, happen when the speech is not controlled, when the tongue is not controlled. And then what happens? Back to Godhead, whoop! Other way. Why? Because you offended the devotee. Huh? And when you offend a devotee, it says the the elephant comes and all your garden, everything you've been doing in the ashram, and then you don't realize it. All of a sudden, all your different worldly desires come back, and you're just let me go enjoy it. The grass is green on the other side, right? So, yeah, I've seen it. When somebody's angry or they lash out at the devotee feels hurt, and then if there's no what do you say, resolution, there's no talking, there's no forgiveness, the devotee takes offense. Krishna might feel hurt because if this was done in not an appropriate way, then it develops a critical mentality in that person's heart who did the offense, and then it just doesn't go good. And yeah, we should be very careful with this. And so it's very important that if you feel an urge to say something to somebody, which you all do sometimes in a moment, we should kind of just check our mind and say, is this really good? Can this wait? Let me cool down. Like Kalakanda Prabhu says, let me think about it. You don't even have to say it, just say it in your mind. Let me think about it before I lash out at this person or say something, because it happens. And then what? You have to go through that. If you do that, then you save yourself a lot of trouble. Because then you'll have to go through the whole process of, I'm sorry, Prabhu, we all have been there, and then you have to humble yourself. Cannot bathe in your foot dust. All this stuff, right? And so there's a beauty about it because you have to humble yourself, right? And you develop this quality. But then also, you have to go through a lot of stuff where you could have been focusing on chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, But you're thinking, oh my God, I offended this devotee. Let me just, you're not really chanting Hare Krishna. I'm out. Go to the other door. So these are very important because we shouldn't feel like this because these are everybody here is very special. We're on a journey back to Godhead, and we should learn, even if we have different personalities. At least we can respect each other. We might not have to be close buds, but we should be able to say, "Wow, they're chanting Hare Krishna. All glories to them. They're going through whatever they have to go through." So yeah, these are different signs. Any other signs? No? Start feeling happy. Yeah, that this sense of fulfillment. I'm doing something with my life that's meaningful, purposeful. I'm not just doing the rat race. Does everybody know about the rat race? Right? So, Susukam Kartanagirya, right? Bhakti is joyfully performed. So this might look complicated, this journey. Gopi, Hare Krishna. Gopi, if you listen to this, we love you. Yeah, and that's why it's important, have. Here's the haircut. That's why it's important to have seniors we can ask, friends, all these wonderful aspects of bhakti because they help us on this journey back to Godhead. And it's been 5 years of practicing, and I've, as all of you, I've also experienced challenges. What do I do in my life? Do I do this? Do I not do this? It can get very heavy, and it can be, you can go through a lot of mental speculation in your mind. What am I to do? And the easiest thing is to leave Krishna factor. And by this, I mean space where you allow Krishna's mercy to act and you don't try to control your whole life, And naturally, then what happens is you get certain opportunities that come to you. And maybe before, if you were thinking, let me just do it my way, then you would just say no to those things. Or you wouldn't even have heard of those opportunities, right? But if you are open-minded and you don't so much, you leave some open room for your life, then these beautiful scenarios can happen where it's everything that you wanted. You know, I know this devotee who's been wanting this specific thing that she was wanting for the longest time, and Krishna fulfilled it in the most perfect way. You know, I'll say who it is. It's Amrita. She's hopefully you're not listening. She's been wanting to become initiated, right? And to go to India and spend time with her guru. But Krishna, and so she thought this was the perfect thing. Krishna fulfilled her desire to the most special place in her heart by having her guru come to America, and she can travel with him, be his personal servant, which in India she wouldn't have gotten. And she's getting all this beautiful association to the most deepest point that she can be so fulfilled, so fulfilled. And she's actually coming with him on Friday. He's going to be giving class here on Friday. He's an amazing devotee. But, you know, she would never thought about it like this. You know, but Krishna knows the heart. And sometimes it's been taken, you know, it's from the time she expressed desire to me to now, there's been so much stuff. But like I said, Krishna has his own time. And he will fulfill our desires to our most perfect ways if we allow him the time, right? Otherwise, we will have to experience things. So it's very beautiful. Does anybody have any questions or comments?
Is he staying here?
No, he was staying in Alachua, but he'll be giving class here on Friday. Nitai, yeah, he's from South. Wonderful, sweet devotee from South India. And I hope you all will be here on Friday. It will be very encouraging and transcendentally purifying to be in such a pure devotees association. Patience. Oh, that's a big one. Yeah, some of us are born in Rajagun, meaning mode of passion. Some of us are just born with it. We just cannot stay still and let Krishna factor in. Meaning, we're gonna have our own. So I think it happens. It happens as you continue chanting. You know, I think naturally mode of goodness starts to prevail, hopefully, as you chant. And then maybe before you act very fast on things, but now you're kind of slowing down, right? I mean, I don't know if you experienced this, but you start to kind of slow down, be a little more introspective. So it happens naturally. I feel patience comes. Sometimes also you have to, I think, just say I should be patient right now. You know, sometimes we say, as we practice bhakti, we develop these qualities that happen naturally, automatically: humility, patience, and all these things. That's all true, but also we have the choice sometimes, right? You know, when we are being, something happens to us, we have a choice. We can say, I want to be humble right now, and actually try to imbibe that quality of humility. Or I can, you know, do whatever. So I feel like patience is also a thing you can try to remind yourself. Okay, right now I should be a little patient. And I think it can be as simple as that, but then also it can happen as we just practice bhakti over time. Develop these qualities of patience. That's, maybe you can share something. Okay, I think it's
image that you put on the TV about the guy at all the different routes, the first thing that came to mind is the last conversation I had with Kalakanta Das Prabhu, and he said, when you come to a fork in the road, take it.
Take it.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't just stand there.
Yeah. One way or another. And I was thinking about that, and it was like, because even in this picture where there's different right ways and wrong ways and detours, and that all roads lead back to Krishna. Even the detours after your garden gets, run over, and you have to like start back over from scratch.
Speaking from your own life.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And it's like no matter what, man, like we're always going back to Krishna.
Yes, it's very important. But you don't want to take the slow road, because then you have to experience more birth, more deaths, and if you can take the efficient way. Right now we're in the efficient way. We're in the ashram doing so much bhakti. It's good. And I was thinking another just one point about science and back to Godhead is that we have devotees around us. I think it's very important. If we see that we're surrounded by devotees throughout our lives, it's a very good sign. Very good sign. Because that means we're still on the journey. Now we find ourselves for a long period of time. I'm not saying going home or something like that, but for a long period of time, I'm from devotees. That means something's up, something's wrong. Because usually it's said that when you devotee association, then you're progressing. If not, then it's you either stand still or there's been some offense. So I think it's another very important factor that you can see. If Guru's pleased, if Krishna's pleased, if I'm still in devotee association. It's just a point to remind ourselves if we find ourselves somewhere else. So, okay, thank you all so much. Dr. Srimad Bhagavatam ki.
Sure. Krishna
Bhagavat Mahaprasadam ki.